Hey guys, welcome back to the IELTS Grind. Thank you for coming. We have been listening to you and you have told us that you would like to see more speaking stuff. So that's what we're going to give to you today.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is do a sample speaking test where one of us will be answering the questions as a native. And what we would like you to do is to look at the way we structure our sentences, the vocabulary that we use, and then steal it all and use it for yourselves. Remember guys that in the IELTS exam you can use either American English or British English. It makes no difference at all, but you need to be familiar with both versions of the language. So today we're actually going to be doing this in British English.
Boo!
Best English in the world.
Boo! Let's talk about health.
Okay.
Is it important to you to avoid unhealthy foods?
In theory, yes, it is important to me, but in reality, life gets in the way and sometimes it is put on the back burner and becomes less important. I know that I should be eating a healthy, balanced diet, but often in the moment when I'm, late home from work or something like this, it's all too easy to reach for that ready meal.
If you caught a cold, what did your parents do to make you feel better?
Well, as a child, I think I did catch quite a few colds. My mum was really a saint about it. So if it was really bad, I would be kept home from school. Often I would be given soup. I wasn't often given medication. We tried to use more traditional kind of means. So nice bowl of hot soup, a blanket, maybe sitting in front of the TV or in bed. And on days when I was faking it, in front of a computer game as well. But yeah, my parents did take care of me.
Okay. Do you stay up to date with public information about health?
Personally, I'm really, really bad at this sort of thing. I wouldn't be a regular viewer of any medical updates on television or websites or anything like that. But in recent times, it's hard to escape that kind of news. So in the recent pandemic, certainly I knew all of the regulations and guidelines. So recently, yes, that's changed. But before, no, never.
How could you be healthier?
How much time do you have? There's so many ways that I could be healthier. It's not only just the food that I eat. We all know that we should eat 5 a day, 5 portions of fruit and vegetables. But exercise is also an important thing. And it's not only physical health, also mental health. So not overworking, getting a good night's sleep, these sort of things, avoiding all the fear mongering online. But personally, there are many things I should be doing in order to improve my health. But as I said before, it's kind of difficult when you're in the moment and you're a little bit lazy.
Now I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you want to say. If you want, you can make some notes.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I do understand.
Okay. Here's some paper and a pencil right over there.
Oh, it's already here.
Da-da-da-da. Okay, I'd like you to talk about a time when you were waiting for someone or something and it arrived late.
Okay. Right. So.
Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I interrupt you. I'll tell you when the time's up. Can you start speaking now, please?
So if I had to choose just one occasion when I was waiting for something that was late, it would probably have to be when I purchased something off of AliExpress. So I had this sort of idea of building some electronics by buying a USB, it's kind of like a motherboard, a mini little chip with some buttons and things like this. And I had heard that this website, which is called AliExpress, which is based in China, it offers really, really cheap components compared to other e-commerce stores like Amazon or something that you might buy sort of in the local town. So I went on, I did a lot of research, and I had to admit that I was a little bit anxious about actually buying from this site because, a lot of people say that you can't trust Chinese companies and the delivery time is quite long. And in the end, I bit the bullet and thought, okay, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. So I ordered all of the buttons, all of the components, and it gave me a delivery time of about 3 to 4 weeks, which was okay at the time. So I was waiting because I was very anxious about actually building this project. And time went on and on and on. And it got to the stage where I actually forgot about what I'd bought. And then months later, these buttons started to turn up. And I was really confused because I don't often get posts like mail or anything like that. And it was quite exciting, a bit like Christmas. So I started opening these things up. And literally a year later, another button turned up. And by this time, I had absolutely no idea where it was meant to go. The project had sort of fallen by the wayside. And perhaps this is just connected with recent events, but it's really put me off buying from this particular store in the future.
Thank you.
Okay.
We've been talking about you having to wait for something that was late. Now I'd like to talk with you about this with a few related questions. Let's consider, first of all, arriving early. What are some situations where arriving early is important?
I would say for any situation where you have an arrangement, appointment with anyone, such as a dentist appointment, some sort of business event, even just your basic education, arriving early to school, I think that whenever someone is expecting you or you're expecting a service, it's just common courtesy to be there on time, if not a little bit earlier.
Okay. Can you give me some specific examples of these?
Like I said, a doctor's appointment, because we all know that doctors are very much overworked, especially in the UK. And normally, if you're not there on time, you may miss your spot and that could put you back and you'll be waiting for hours at times. So I think in those situations, you definitely need to turn up on time or a little bit early.
Okay. In your culture, is it important to arrive early to things?
Definitely. It is ingrained in us as children to be on time, but not every single British person has this ability. But yes, we normally, for example, if you're invited to dinner and it says that you will be there at 8 o'clock, in this situation, you normally give the host 10 minutes. So you would arrive at 10 minutes past 8. But that's sort of a general understanding. So if you were to arrive at 5 minutes past 8, you would be early and that would be rude. So generally you want to arrive on time for things. But there are some strange rules like that.
What are the consequences of breaking those rules?
You will probably lose friends. People get a little bit upset in the UK if you're not on time, and it's considered quite rude. But there are no legal ramifications, but just in terms of relationships.
Okay. What can people do to make sure that they arrive early to things?
Well, I think setting an alarm, especially in the morning, so you wake up on time, that's essential. Having an up-to-date calendar, writing down notes. There's even the old method of tying a knot in your handkerchief so you remember you've got to do something or be somewhere. There are many methods that you can use, but the essential thing is to use one of them.
Can you give me some examples of things that people can do that use modern technology?
There are plenty of apps these days which will sort of give you a notification when something's up and coming. For example, Google Calendar is one that would work. And in terms of business, there are many other apps which will integrate many different people into the same sort of time schedule. So it really depends on the situation, which sort of modern technology you might use.
Let's talk about being patient.
Okay.
What are some jobs that can only be done by patient people?
I would say anything that needs precision, such as surgery. If you're operating on someone, in many cases you probably would have to be patient. Then again, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. I know that in my own experience in aviation, I'm kind of a budding pilot, and they often say in aviation, hurry up and wait, which means you need to be patient, you can't rush things because there's a question of safety about it.
Can you give me some other jobs?
To my mind, some other jobs that would require patience, perhaps a police officer. If you're having to question a suspect, they may not crack under pressure immediately, so you have to wait it out. And another job that might involve patience is, I know one. So if you work as a tow truck driver, often I see these people along the highway, and they have to wait, hoping that someone will crash so that they can do their job. That involves a lot of patience.
What happens to people who are in these jobs who aren't patient?
If it's part of your job to have a skill or sort of a personal trait like this, if you weren't patient, you'd probably leave that profession. It wouldn't be a good fit, and whether or not you'd be fired, I don't know, but probably you wouldn't be very good at your job, so you'd be terminated eventually.
Is it ever acceptable to be impatient?
I think so. If you're waiting for someone, you're allowed to be impatient if someone's late, especially if it's beyond sort of 10, 15 minutes. I think the only other people that can be impatient are children. We kind of forgive them if they're being impatient, especially around Christmas. But for me, personally, I don't know. I don't feel like being impatient is a bad thing if you're being let down.
Why are we so indulgent towards children being impatient?
I'd like to say stupidity, but more likely it's love. Well, young people, they're still learning the ropes. They don't really know how society works. And, parents sort of do indulge them in that sense. They sort of mollycoddle them a little bit. I'm not a parent, so I don't really know, but that was my experience growing up.
Okay. Some people say that as people get older, they get more patient. What do you think?
I would disagree with that. There is this syndrome, I think, which is the grumpy old man. So as men get older, they tend to be on a shorter fuse. They can become angry more quickly, and you've got less time on the earth, so you don't want to be wasting it, waiting for buses and things like that. So in my experience, I disagree with that statement.
Okay. Where do you think this adage could have come from?
Experience. I mean, if we're talking about the one that I said, the grumpy old man syndrome, that's just, everyone knows that. You've got a granddad and they're grumpy. So I think that's where it comes from.
Okay. How about the belief that as people get older, they get more patient? Where could that have come from?
I'd imagine that's from a bored PhD student who doesn't leave the library and never interacts with people. Again, my own personal experience.
Thank you very much. That is the end of the speaking test.
I'm not going to bite. Well, welcome back, Mike.
Thank you. I never left.
Okay, guys, so that was an example of me answering IELTS-style questions just as a native would do. And hopefully you will have a look at my sentence structure, also the way that I styled my answer, where I'm going directly with the answer first, and then supporting details, supporting sentences afterwards. And the most important thing is...
those idioms. He had so many. They're jam-packed. Jam-packed with idioms. Look at this guy go.
Yeah. Don't need to teach me how to suck eggs.
By the way, guys, these questions were inspired by a book, a textbook. This was IELTS 12, General Training. Now, the general training and the academic test has the exact same speaking test, which is why we've used some questions that were, again, inspired by there. If you want to see the original questions where these came from, feel free to check out the link below.
Yeah, there's a link that will take you to Amazon, and you'll be able to buy the book there, which is really the best resource out there, I would say.
And it helps out our channel because we get a small affiliate commission.
Yeah. So don't forget, if you found this a useful video, give us a like, tells us what you guys are into, and join us for a future video.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing you there.
See you later.